Hi, welcome back. I'm Chuck, and today I'm going to talk about how to get started in woodworking, some misconceptions about it, and some tips if you want to start woodworking as a business. So I get asked all the time, how do I get started in woodworking? More often it actually comes as a statement, well, I'd love to do that, but I don't have all the tools and all the equipment. I'm going to talk about how I got started and some misconceptions about what you have to get started in woodworking. A few years ago, my kids started playing with American Girl dolls, and they saw some stuff online that they wanted for their dolls, and I started searching around and I saw a plan for a little farmhouse bed on Anna White's website. And I figured, well, I can probably make that pretty easily. I looked at the plans and the required tools, and I had everything you needed. And actually her website is a great place to start because she lists all of the tools that are required in the plans, and most of them are pretty simple tools that most people have, even if they're not into woodworking. All I had at the time was an old Delta miter saw. I had a drill, and I had a battery-powered brad nailer, actually these exact ones. So I made this farmhouse bed on the floor of my garage. I didn't even have a sander. I just, had some sandpaper in my hand, and it turned out pretty well for my first project. And I enjoyed doing it, so I thought, well, I can do more of this. But then I realized that I didn't want to be working on the ground all the time, so I needed to make a workbench. So what I came up with was I bought some sawhorses and some 2x4s and a piece of 2x4 foot 1/2-inch plywood, and made this quote-unquote workbench that I still use today as like a small assembly table for small glue ups or paint, or just have another project sitting on that I'm working on, and if I'm in a small space and I don't have room for like a big table. So the main misconception about woodworking and getting started into woodworking is you have to have all these fancy tools and all this expensive equipment, and it's really not the case. For instance, a table saw, a miter saw, and a circular saw, all the tasks that you can do with a table saw or a miter saw can be done with a circular saw. So I'm actually doing a collaborative video on how to start into woodworking with simple tools and how to do projects without all kinds of expensive equipment, and that will air on the channel Simple Woodworking. I'll post the link in the description. You should check out his channel as well. It's pretty cool, and he does a lot of stuff with basic. So I'll explain more in that video on how you can pretty much use a circular saw in place of a miter saw and a table saw. It's a little harder, of course, and it takes a little more time. Part of the fun is kind of figuring out how to make something with what you have. And as time goes on and your projects get more complex, you'll start to amass more tools and more equipment. Just like a drill press and a drill serve the same purpose, but a drill press obviously is going to have more precision. So as the projects become, like I said, more complex and you need to be more precise in cuts or drilling holes or whatever it be, you can get the tools as you need them. So people ask, so what do I buy first? Well, the basic tools like a drill, maybe a circular saw, a nailer are good places to start. A sander maybe, orbital sander. But a good way to answer that question is, well, what do you need for the project you're going to do? While the fancier equipment may make something quicker and may make a easier way to get a better end product, it's not always required. And you can kind of look at this similar to, like, say, another hobby that people do, like golfing. You don't need the best golf clubs to be a great golfer. So it's more about how much time you're willing to invest in learning your craft and basically practicing and getting used to the tools and knowing the limitations and what you can do and what you can't do with them. So the same can be said about how do I start making YouTube videos? Well, I mean, some people just start with using their smartphone, and the quality of video that you can get from a smartphone is pretty good nowadays. Basically, the answer is start with the tools you have, start with the equipment you have, and as you get more into more complex projects, whether it be YouTube videos or building stuff in woodworking or another hobby or sport or whatever it is, over time you'll obtain more equipment and your skill set will improve and you'll turn out a better product. And that being said, what makes somebody a woodworker anyway? Does having a bunch of tools and being able to follow a plan to turn out a product make you a woodworker? No more than being able to follow directions on a box and make some brownies makes you a chef. In my opinion, I'm just a guy with some tools who likes to do DIY projects in his garage and outside, and sometimes they involve wood. Does that make me a woodworker? Not really, but some people say so. What if I want to start woodworking as a business? I'm passionate about this. I really like the products that I can make, and other people really compliment me on them, and I'd like to turn this hobby into something where I can make a profit. There's a couple ways to do this. One is to do like commission products. When somebody says, hey, can you make me a table? Can you make me a desk? Or whatever it is. You got to be kind of careful with this, because I always say, I can't make what's in your head. So I can make something, and if you like it, you can buy it, or I can get a plan of something, or I can get even a picture of something or something I've made in the past and replicate it. But I just can't delve into your mind and come up with something that you just are thinking of that we don't really have a clear idea of the outcome. You can get yourself in a little bit of a bind there, because what if they don't like the outcome? And if it's like a friend or something, you don't want to lose a relationship over building something. Another way people turn their woodworking hobby into a side hustle or a business is to batch out a bunch of a specific product, like say cutting boards, and sell them at craft fairs or on Etsy. And this is great, because the more you do of a certain thing, the better and quicker you get at it, so you can make money at this. I'm not a really big fan of it, because I like this as a hobby, and I like to make different things. And once I've done something a few times, I'm kind of tired of making that specific thing. So I want to move on to something different. You don't want to necessarily turn your hobby into work, because a lot of times when people do that, they stop enjoying their hobby. And so I'm kind of leery of doing something to where I'm mass producing a specific item, because it's not really what I enjoy doing. So if I do woodworking for that purpose, just to make money, then I'm basically turning my hobby into a job, and instead of doing something I enjoy, which is like creating different things and making new stuff and figuring out different ways to make new things, I'm just creating the same thing through repetition, which isn't really what I'm interested in doing. If you have any questions or tips on how to get started into woodworking, I'd love to hear your comments, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and go ahead and hit subscribe over here. And check out that Simple Woodworking channel. I'll put the link down in the description, and there's a video for you to check out over here. Thanks for watching.